Today, we have Jerry Lau from Alberta Transportation presenting on non-standard improvement considered in or implemented. He has been working in the field of transportation planning for the past 31 years in the government sector since graduating from UBC with a degree in civil engineering. Currently, he is the infrastructure manager for Alberta Transportation, responsible for the grants program, programming, project scoping, development control, and planning studies for the Southern Region. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you.
Can you guys see my presentation?
Yeah.
All right, I'll assume you can. Well, thank you, Lou, and thanks to everyone for attending today's Southern Alberta ITE webinar. If you have never worked with Alberta Transportation before, we have a reputation for being very rigid and conservative in our standards and approvals. And in most cases, that is true. But today, I will present a number of examples in and around the Calgary area where we have shown a willingness to consider or implement improvements that are outside of our usual practice. I would caution you that they are not intended to set a precedent for use in other locations, but because of the circumstances and the site-specific constraints, they were considered to be the most cost-effective solution to address the issues at hand while protecting the safety and operation of the highway. We'll be looking at 6 locations and 1 design parameter around Calgary. They are Driftwood Trail at 130th Avenue Southeast, Deerfoot and Memorial, Deerfoot at McKnight Boulevard, Highway 560 east of Calgary, Stony Trail Northeast at 68th Street, Highway 566 twinning between Range Road 293 and Range Road 290, and tapers on bridges. Here is the east side of Driftwood Trail at 130th Avenue Southeast. The red line denotes the Driftwood Trail boundary. When this area was developing, we worked with the City of Calgary to come up with a solution to eliminate the northbound to eastbound Driftwood Trail traffic from weaving across 2 through lanes of 130th Avenue and entering the single left turn lane of 46th Street Southeast to go north. AT standards call for a minimum 400-meter separation between the ramp terminal and the next intersection. The separation here is 350 meters, so it's not quite meeting standards. And as this is a legacy intersection with developments already around it, there was no way to move it further east. The solution we agreed on was to put a curb barrier between the eastbound through lane and the left turn lane so that vehicles from northbound Durfa Trail wanting to enter the development has to turn left at 48th Street Southeast, where there is a dual left turn lane. For the most part, this has worked as intended. In the future, this area is expected to get much busier. There are still several major developments that have been approved in the area, such as the 1.5 million square foot Shepherd Office Park, the Green Line Station, the Green Line Park and Ride facility, and the Transit Hub. In the past year, the businesses on the north side of 130th Avenue at 46th Street have complained that they are losing a lot of business because people can't access them from northbound Deerfoot Trail. This was also during a time of COVID, so they may have felt the impact of reduced business more severely. At the same time, we were getting complaints that people were getting ticketed by the Calgary Police Service for turning right at the ramp intersection to turn into the left turn lane because it was signed as a left turn and not a right turn. The issue got the attention of our minister and local politicians, and we were directed to find a solution. So as usual, we retained a consultant who developed a number of options and recommended this solution. By cutting into the quadrant island, we can accommodate a WB36 turnpike double, which is the design vehicle for Driftwood Trail. It would also create a small island to restrict a left turn into a single lane, as the left turning traffic is not that high. This retrofit was estimated at a cost of $1.5 million. We presented a solution to the city, and they had concerns with additional pedestrian crossing and questioned the need to accommodate a WB36 for this movement. To the city's credit, they have a more urban way of thinking when it comes to traffic issues. And they said, why don't you just allow the passenger vehicles to make the right turn at the intersection, as that is what the businesses want anyway, and test it on a 6-month trial period. Now, this is not our standard treatment, as ITE generally want to accommodate our design vehicles for all movement. So we ran it by our technical services branch in Edmonton, or TSB, and they agreed that we should try it for a trial period and see how it works. We collaborated with the Roads Traffic Operational Improvements Group at the city to make it happen because they were more accustomed to running trial projects. He also made a couple of suggestions. Designate a left and right turn lane at the ramp terminal and repaint the gore so that it does not back up the primary right turn traffic, as the exit ramp is 2 lanes. In addition, the city made some signing changes at the intersection. Here is a side-by-side of the before and after. They covered one of the left turn arrows on a left side mounted sign so that it is now a single left turn lane. They installed a right turn sign for 46th Street North and a 5-ton weight sign so that larger vehicles can be ticketed if they try to make the right turn. They also installed a no right turn on red sign to reduce pedestrian conflicts and change the overhead double left sign to a left and right turn sign. This was completed on September 28th without any fanfare, because we don't want it to be used too often, as if it becomes too popular, it would plug up the left turn lane into 46th Street. This was done for $10,000 compared to the $1.5 million solution we were going to go with. And as of today, Alberta Transportation has not received any complaints about the changes. The next location is Driftwood Trail at Memorial Drive Interchange. Some of you may be aware of the queuing that is experienced on the eastbound Memorial Drive, particularly in the afternoon rush hour, due to the high volume of traffic going eastbound to northbound Driftwood Trail. And there is only a single lane loop ramp to accommodate the movement. The long queues lead to some drivers using the outside through lane to make last-minute merges to skip the queue. This manifests into a high number of rear-end collisions and side swipes from drivers not anticipating the long queues, high-speed differentials, and sudden stopping and weaving. In 2019, the city's Road Traffic Operational Improvements Group approached Alberta Transportation and proposed a solution to improve the queuing and safety issue. What they proposed was to reduce the eastbound speed limit to 60 kilometers per hour and convert the outside through lane on Memorial Drive to an exit lane to northbound Durfa Trail, leaving 2 through lanes on eastbound Memorial Drive. This was enough to meet the traffic demand on eastbound Memorial Drive, and the merge area becomes a zipper merge to the single lane loop ramp. By providing the 2 lanes for eastbound to northbound traffic, the queue length will be reduced, as well as the reduction of weaving and sudden stopping on the through lanes. However, in converting the outside through lane into a merge lane for eastbound to northbound traffic, some modification to the southbound ramp terminal was necessary. Using a truck turning template for a WB21 showed the outside truck would encroach on the new merge lane, which would now be occupied by emerging vehicles, and potentially backing up traffic on the southbound ramp. What the city proposed was to remove the turn island separating the southbound to eastbound left turn traffic from the southbound traffic, and create a painted median between the eastbound through lane and the eastbound to northbound merge lane. This is accomplished by narrowing the two merge lanes to 3.5 meter lanes and reducing the shoulder width. This will require a design exception that has been submitted by the city and is currently being reviewed. We also asked the city for an independent safety audit of the proposal. So the city retained a consultant to review it, and they made a number of recommendations. Some of these include extending the length of the merge area, use of exit-only tabs, flexible guideposts to delineate the merge area. And with this proposal, the city estimates a 30% reduction in total collisions, 80% reduction in injury collisions, and 60% reduction in total collision costs to society. If you have been keeping up with the Driftwood Trail Improvement Project, it is going to be a P3 contract to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain the infrastructure for the next 30 years. The contract is expected to be awarded in early 2022, and improvements available to traffic by 2026. If you want to find out more information, it is available on the website, deerfoot-improvements.ca. Our plan for Memorial Drive is to reconstruct the eastbound to northbound loop ramp with a larger radius ramp and a new bridge separating the northbound to westbound exit ramp traffic. Even with the pending reconstruction, the city still wishes to proceed with the proposed improvements due to the improved safety of Memorial Drive and to incorporate this two-lane merge into the Driftwood Trail project. Next, we'll look at the Driftwood Trail and McKnight Boulevard interchange. Those of you familiar with this stretch of northbound to eastbound Driftwood Trail would be familiar with the long queues on the ramp and the operational and safety issue from the high volume of ramp traffic trying to weave across two lanes of high volume McKnight Boulevard traffic to get into the left turn lane of Aviation Boulevard. There have been a number of studies undertaken to try to address this issue. The City of Calgary did a study in 2014 of McKnight Boulevard, but with the scope of finding solutions that would not touch Driftwood Trail. The recommendation was to eliminate all left turns at Aviation Boulevard and 12th Street. Therefore, eastbound traffic would instead use a jug handle at 14th Street, 45th Avenue, and 12th Street, while westbound traffic would use the jug handle at a new 15th Street connection to Aviation Road. In 2020, Alberta Transportation and the City of Calgary completed a study of Driftwood Trail, which formed the basis for the Driftwood Trail Improvement Project. This is the ultimate recommendation for McKnight Boulevard, with a new eastbound to northbound directional ramp. But the short term would be to separate the northbound exiting traffic between those continuing east on McKnight Boulevard and those destined for Aviation Boulevard. Another phase would be added to the signal to accommodate the additional movement. When the Driftwood Trail project engineers looked at the interchange, they came up with another solution, which was to remove the existing northbound eastbound ramp and constructing a new ramp further west with a triple signalized right turn. This would simplify signage for northbound Driftwood Trail exit and eliminate the weave for those destined to Aviation Boulevard. As well, by moving the signal further east, it would extend the left turn storage for eastbound to northbound movement. This is a design that will be moving forward as part of the P3 project. The lesson here is that nothing is ever final until it goes to construction. This is the Highway 560 or Glenmore Trail on the east side of Calgary. In 2006, Alberta Transportation, with the City of Calgary and Rocky View County, completed a study from Stony Trail to Highway 797 at Langton. The ultimate plan for Stony Trail at Glenmore Trail Interchange is to upgrade to a full systems interchange with directional ramps for eastbound to northbound and westbound to southbound traffic movement. Shown here is the recommended interchange configuration and location that meets ATE's best practices of 3 kilometer separation between a systems interchange and a service interchange, and a 2 kilometer separation between service level interchanges with 130 kilometers per hour design speed or 110 kilometers per hour posted in the Highway 560. Then in 2009, the City of Calgary approached Alberta Transportation about a half interchange on 100th Street for Garden Road, which is only 2.2 kilometers away from Stony Trail. This is to better service their development on the south side of Highway 560. This did not meet AT's best practices, but as Highway 560 is not a designated freeway or a level 1 highway, we agreed in principle to allow them to review it, provided they produce a functional planning study to support the location. For those of you who are not familiar, a level 1 highway are those that are designated freeways and part of the national highway system, such as highways 1, 2, and 3. So the city retained a consultant to undertake the functional planning study for 100th Street. Shortly after, the adjacent developer asked if the other 2 interchanges can be reviewed so that it aligns with the road allowance and reduce the amount of land required and doesn't cut through the quarter section. So the scope of the study expanded to include 116th Street and Rainbow Road as well. This was the result of the study, which recommended 3 diverging diamond interchanges, or DDIs, on Highway 560, with an interchange at 100th Street, 116th Street, and Rainbow Road. In order to make this work, the design speed on the highway had to be reduced to 110 kilometers per hour or 100 kilometers per hour posted, so that weaving distance between interchanges worked, and the DDIs were allowed because at the time it is warranted, the area would be more urbanized. A DDI would not normally be considered in a rural area, as they would not meet drivers' expectations. As you can see at the 100th Street interchange, it allows for a future basket weave to Stony Trail if it is ever needed. Some of you may be aware that Highway 560 or Glenmore Trail is also a high-low corridor. So one of the design parameters of the DDI was that it had to allow for over-dimensional loads to go over the DDIs using the ramp so that they don't have to go under the bridge structure. Now the staging for the corridor would be 4-laning of Highway 560 and or signalized intersections at 116th Street and Rainbow Road until they fail, and then interchanges would be constructed. These interchanges are not on the construction program and is likely in a 10 to 20 year time frame before they are constructed. So don't expect them anytime soon. But by having the plan in place now, it allows Alberta Transportation and the municipalities to set back development to allow the interchanges to be constructed in the future without having to tear down buildings. Shown here is the ultimate plan for Northeast Stony Trail. It shows a future interchange at 60th Street and the future extension of the East Freeway north to become the future bypass of Airdrie. That future alignment will not be what is shown here, as development has since taken place to the north. So it will need to be shifted east with the exact alignment to be determined in the future study. The pre-grading for 60th Street interchange was done as part of the Northeast Stony Trail construction, and the right-in, right-out has been constructed by the city on the south side of Stony Trail to service existing developments. In 2020, the developer on the area to the north, which currently have access to Highway 566 and the QE2 highway via Cross Iron Drive, approached Alberta Transportation for a right-in, right-out access to Stony Trail with a connection to 84th Street. The rationale was that they could not connect 60th Street because outside of the TUC is private land, which they don't have access to. Our answer was an emphatic no, because it is not consistent with our ultimate plans, and their proposals would create a cul-de-sac at 84th Street, which is a local high-low corridor in Rocky View County. Also, once you allowed access to 84th Street from Stony Trail to a development, it would be next to impossible to remove it in the future, and it creates an expectation that our future plans will continue to accommodate this future access to 84th Street. So we looked at their situation. And so what if they use the existing road allowance on 68th Street to connect to the TUC and create a right-in, right-out access to Stony Trail? It is not something that we would normally consider, as it is throwaway, but it would be better than to allow the right-in, right-out access to 84th Street. The approval is based on the condition that the right-in and right-out access will be removed at such time as the 60th Street interchange is constructed, or when the extension of the East Freeway to the north is constructed, and that the developer work with Rocky View County and the City of Calgary to work out interjurisdictional issues, as the city boundary is at 144th Avenue. These conditions were accepted by the developer, and they currently have a consultant working on a design for the right-in, right-out. Some of the challenges they have experienced is avoiding the existing utilities in the TUC and designing the ramp over an existing wetland. In the future, we will have to review if the 60th Street interchange should connect to 52nd Street as per the original plan, or to 68th Street. This is Highway 566, east of the QE2 highway, and is currently twinned up to Range Road 293 or Dwight McClellan Trail. There are existing signals at Range Road 293, 292, and 291. Rocky View County approached Alberta Transportation about a cost share to twin Highway 566 between 293 and 290, with a 4-lane divided cross section to accommodate future development. The county issued a request for proposal for the design and construction supervision for the project. And I can talk about this now because the RFP has closed. One of the issues for this project is access management. There are still a number of residential lots on both sides of the highway that still have direct accesses. Normally, a service road would be constructed to eliminate the direct accesses and provide residents full movement access from the highway intersections via the service road. However, there wasn't enough money in the budget for the right-of-way acquisition and service road construction, so these residences would be limited to right-in, right-out access only. What if they want to go east, or if they're coming from the west, how do they return to their residences legally? Right now, Wagon Wheel Boulevard exists on the south side of Highway 566, but it is not continuous. However, there is a development that will be going in, which will make Wagon Wheel Boulevard continuous by the time the twinning is completed. This will allow residences north of the highway to continue to have full movement access between Range Road 293 and 292. If they want to go east, they would turn left at Dwight McClellan Trail, take Wagon Wheel Boulevard, and out at 292 to go east. Likewise, if they are coming from the west, they would take Wagon Wheel Boulevard to Range Road 292 and turn left. This is no different from any other divided roadway where people have to use the local road network to get to where they're going. But what about the residences between Range Road 292 and 291? We can build service roads or replace the signals with roundabouts for 4 residences, but that would significantly exceed the project budget. As I have mentioned, Range Road 292 and 291 are already signalized, and Alberta Regulation 304/2002 of the Traffic Safety Act says a person driving a vehicle shall not, at the following location, turn the vehicle so as to travel in the opposite direction. And in the case of urban or non-urban areas, at a place where a sign prohibits making a U-turn, or at an intersection controlled by a traffic control signal unless specifically permitted by a traffic control device. So, what about taking a page out of what the city of Calgary did on International Avenue, where they have signalized U-turns? We could provide signalized U-turn to allow these few residences a legal means to turn around and provide full access to the highway. So we ran the options by TSB, and they were willing to consider it, provided we look at the following in a prelim engineering report. What is an appropriate design vehicle? What changes to the intersection geometry would be required? How do you restrict oversized vehicles from using the U-turns? What signal timings, signage, and line paintings would be required? What is the capacity and traffic flow impacts due to the U-turns? Compare the U-turn to other options, such as roundabouts, and apply access consolidation options where applicable. So while a signalized U-turn is one possible option, it is not a slam dunk, but at least we're willing to consider it. These signalized U-turns are not intended to remain permanently, but as development occurs on both sides of the highway, the direct accesses would be removed and the signalized U-turn would be eliminated when they are no longer required. The last item I want to talk about today are tapers on bridges. Many of you are aware of the ITE's design standards of tapered exits on Parcel A interchanges. The interchange at Stony Trail at Country Hills Boulevard Northwest is a classic example of that tapered design. As per the Highway Geometric Design Guide, it is a minimum 15:1 direct exit taper for a 60 km/h design speed. This is the ultimate functional plan for Stony Trail at Harvest Hill Boulevard. Stage 1 of the interchange, consisting of the ultimate northbound bridge, was constructed as part of the original Northwest Stony Trail project and has a trapezoidal shape for the bridge to enable the tapered exit. In 2019, the City of Calgary approached Alberta Transportation to construct the Shaganappi Trail interchange, 14th Street interchange, Harvest Hill Boulevard interchange, and 11th Street interchange, as they want to advance them sooner than Alberta Transportation had the budget or the resources to construct them. The 14th Street interchange was already designed at the time, and the city constructed and opened the interchange this year. When the city's consultant was designing the Shaganappi Trail interchange and Harvest Hill Boulevard interchange, they approached Alberta Transportation about using the 2017 TAC Design Guide for Canadian Road Standard for a parallel lane exit terminal design with a 440-meter radius to develop the ramp width similar to the city's channelized right turn design. They argued that the trapezoidal shape was less desirable due to the custom design for flare bridges, which increased the construction and lifecycle maintenance costs. In order for AT to review the request, we asked the city to submit a formal design exception, an independent road safety audit, and a stage design review. Although it took several iterations and back and forth between TSB, our owner's engineer, and the city, with an approval in principle at the 60% design stage, the design exception was finally accepted. This is the final design by the city's consultant for the Harvest Hill Boulevard interchange, the single parallel lane exit terminal using a rectangular bridge structure. A similar design exception was approved for the Shaganappi Trail interchange and a functional planning study the city did for Driftwood Trail at Country Hills Boulevard. This does not mean that this is the new standard for urban interchange design, but it will require a design exception for each instance. The Shaganappi Trail and Harvest Hill Boulevard interchanges are both currently under construction by the city for completion in the fall of 2022. So what is the takeaway from this presentation? We are always willing to hear proposals, but not all proposals will be accepted. The protection of future planning, safety, and operation of the highway are still the primary consideration. Design exceptions may be required depending on the nature of the proposal and subject to the discretion of the department. Thank you for your attention. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jerry. That's a wonderful presentation. Very interesting. I don't know if there's any questions. If you can either type it in the chat or else unmute yourself, and we'll answer or ask Jerry to answer questions.
Wow, everyone's quiet today.
I fell asleep. I put him to sleep.
All right, I'll ask my question then if I don't see anyone coming up. I was just wondering for some of these exceptions that you're going to approve, Jerry, what kind of monitoring plan does Alberta Transportation do after the fact to see how successful some of these new or different initiatives would be?
We don't have a formal monitoring plan, but we do monitor collision stats at all of our interchanges and intersections in the province. And we do have a ranking of these high collision prone locations. So if they show up as a collision prone location, then certainly we would investigate it further.
Great, I'm just looking, I'm just going to see if anyone's unmuted themselves here to ask any questions. I don't see.
Hi, Anne. I unmuted myself.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Is that it?
Well, Jerry, one of the most memorable departure in terms of imaginative solutions that the department did accept was, it's not so obvious now, but the West Ring Road, people keep asking why the wide median, and I think that the average public doesn't understand what was involved is potentially a future freeway within a freeway that was designed in case a third or a second ring road happens sometime down the road, and the right-of-way had to include that, and a design that was very unusual, to say the least. So what is happening now is we built the outer freeway, and in the future, if and when a second ring or some other facility will use that median, but that required then a different approach to the design of ramps, both the existing ones and the future ramps, to accommodate connections between those two facilities. And the department went along with that kind of a design, although it was very, what shall I say, not standard.
You're right,
Thanks, Ed. Go ahead, Jerry.
You're right, Ed. That is a non-standard design. It will have to be further studies to determine where that ultimate outer ring road is going to be in Calgary. We are going to be working with the Calgary Metropolitan Regional Board to look at the need and the location for that future outer ring road. But again, that is still going to be a future study.
Yeah, the important thing was the section where the First Nation right-of-way is, they told us that we can't come back for any more right-of-way, so we had to design that facility now, make sure that we have sufficient right-of-way in the future. So now what's happening is you're talking about how to arrange for the piece to the south, how that might connect. And that was part of the report of the ring road, how that might happen. But what I was also going to say is that the design of this second freeway, if it happens, had to connect ramps on the outside and inside. And these ramps, there was no standard how far apart the inner ramps to the outer ramps should be, what kind of standards, and those were created for the ring road when no such standards existed. So the department did an evaluation of that and approved it.
Yep, and no further work has since taken place, Ed, to confirm or rationalize what those ramps is going to be. It's going to have to be, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, of course, everybody thinks that the second ring is 30, 40, even more years. So things change, of course. Things are changing all the time, whether that will be required or not altogether. And if it is required, what kind of a facility will it look like? But the important thing is that there is the space for it, and the ramps on the existing is designed in such a way that will allow the more or less standard freeway design to be built in the inside of the existing freeway.
Right.
Great. Thanks, Ed. I've got one question here from Jack Mason. So it says, Deerfoot and Memorial, are there any plans to alleviate the left turning queuing for westbound Memorial to southbound Deerfoot Trail? The single lane the single left backs up and is unnecessarily delayed by the C-train preemption. As a transit planner, I'd say it's not unnecessarily. It's transit should take priority there.
At this time, there are no plans to make any further modification to Memorial Drive. Hope that answers your question.
Was there any recommendations in the Deerfoot Trail study for that location, Jerry, or they're just not being done, or?
You have to excuse me, I can't remember what the recommendations from the Driftwood Trail study was, but I can forward you the link to that website, Jack, and let you know. I'll follow up with you, Jack.
Great, thanks. I had one other comment from Rob Lang saying, give you kudos for your work at 130th Avenue. As a user of the area, it works great to address the business concerns. So thank you for that. I know the city equally has challenges at the other end of 130th Avenue, closer to 52nd Street. It's quite a high traffic volume area with this commercial development. So you know, it's a little tricky to get everything fitting in that location.
Well, thanks the city for making that recommendation.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Let's do unmute. All right, I don't see any, so I think that's it. I just wanted to thank you, Jerry. One quick question, will the recorded presentation be online? Yes, it will be on the Southern Alberta ITE webpage. So all our monthly ones are currently recorded and saved there. You can see future ones if you miss any as well, thanks. So yeah, I just wanted to thank Jerry. It's great to see actually some of the projects that I worked on back in my network planning days, the Highway 5, Glenmore Trail, Highway 560 study, and see some of that coming to fruition. So really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week, and we'll see you next month for our December Gala. It's going to be a bit more of a networking type event and just an opportunity to connect with each other, still virtually, as we go into the end of the year. So thank you very much.